Adidas called it a partnership of a lifetime. They paid Beyoncé $20 million a year, handed her full creative control, and projected $250 million in annual Ivy Park sales. Their own internal documents, reported by the Wall Street Journal in February 2023, showed something very different. Actual 2022 revenue came in at $40 million. Half the merchandise from 5 of 6 collections sat on shelves unsold, and Adidas was losing at least $10 million a year on the partnership while still paying Beyoncé her full guarantee. This is the anatomy of a $210 million business failure. 5 months earlier, they had already terminated Kanye West's Yeezy brand partnership. Within a single fiscal quarter, Adidas lost both of its celebrity Megadeals and posted a loss of €513 million, their first annual operating loss in 31 years. We traced the numbers through Adidas AG's 2022 annual report, the Wall Street Journal's leaked internal documents, and the Ulta Beauty press releases from 2025. This is the Beyoncé business paradox. It unfolds in 5 layers, each one harder to explain than the last. We are starting with the layer nobody in the industry wants to discuss openly: the pattern. House of Darion launched in 2005. Beyoncé and her mother Tina Knowles built it as a fashion line honoring Beyoncé's grandmother. Bloomingdale's carried it. The New York Times reported first-year expectations in the tens of millions. Critics called the pieces overly busy and cheaply produced. By 2010, the brand had quietly exited the American market, shifting distribution exclusively to European department stores. By 2012, the junior line was discontinued. Staff were laid off. The main line went dormant. Beyoncé never publicly commented on the closure. Then came Heat, her debut fragrance, launched in 2010 through a licensing deal with Coty. The initial run was a genuine success. First-month sales at Macy's alone topped $3 million. Coty spent roughly $20 million in advertising. Total lifetime retail sales reportedly reached $400 million across 16 separate fragrances released between 2010 and 2024. But by 2013, Heat was appearing at heavy discounts in drugstore clearance bins. Coty quietly shifted marketing spend to other celebrity partnerships. The line is functionally dormant today. In 2015, Beyoncé partnered with her personal trainer Marco Borges to launch 22 Days Nutrition, a vegan meal delivery service. The British Association for Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine warned publicly that the low-calorie meal plan could lead to nutritional deficiencies. The delivery service was discontinued, and the company transitioned into a product platform with minimal market presence. 3 ventures across 11 years. Fashion, fragrance, nutrition. Each one followed the same sequence. Massive launch hype, celebrity press coverage, sold-out first drops, and then a slow fade into silence. The kind of silence where products disappear from shelves and nobody asks questions because the brand attached to them is too powerful to challenge publicly. If we had only these 3 data points, we might call it bad luck. But then Ivy Park happened, and the numbers turned what looked like a pattern into something harder to dismiss. This is the second layer, the Adidas partnership in full. Beyoncé originally launched Ivy Park in 2016 as a 50-50 joint venture with Topshop owner Sir Philip Green. When sexual harassment and racial abuse allegations surfaced against Green in 2018, Beyoncé purchased his stake. The exact price was never disclosed. Industry observers estimated it was in the low single-digit millions, given Ivy Park's losses under Arcadia. Beyoncé then relaunched the brand in partnership with Adidas in early 2020. The first Adidas drop sold out within minutes. Headlines called it the next Yeezy brand, but internal Adidas projections, leaked to the Wall Street Journal, within 2 years. Revenue fell from $93 million in 2021 to $40 million in 2022. That was a 57% collapse in a single year. Adidas had projected $250 million. The gap between expectation and reality was $210 million. Meanwhile, Beyoncé's guaranteed compensation continued at $20 million per year. Adidas was simultaneously paying her and losing money on the inventory she was supposed to sell. The partnership quietly ended in March 2023, with both sides citing creative differences. Now we need to talk about what makes this story different from any other celebrity brand failure. Because Adidas did not just lose one celebrity deal, they lost 2. And the timeline matters. On October 25, 2022, Adidas terminated its partnership with Kanye West after his anti-Semitic comments. At the time, the Yeezy brand was generating roughly 1.2 billion euros in annual revenue for Adidas. 5 months later, Ivy Park ended too. In the fourth quarter of 2022, Adidas posted a 724 million euros operating loss. The full year 2022 result was a net loss of 513 million euros. CNBC reported it was the company's first annual loss in over 3 decades. What saved Adidas was not a new celebrity deal. It was the opposite. They sold the remaining Yeezy inventory in mid-2023 for approximately 750 million euros in net sales. That liquidation generated roughly 300 million euros in operating profit, which pulled Adidas back to 268 million euros in annual operating profit by the end of 2023. Ivy Park had no comparable inventory salvage. No remaining stock generated a surprise windfall. The partnership simply ended, and the financial hole remained. If we are keeping count, we are now looking at 4 consecutive business ventures outside of music that either failed, were discontinued, or produced losses for the partner. Fashion, fragrance, nutrition, athleisure. We can add a 5th if we count the film career. Parkwood Entertainment produced Cadillac Records in 2008 on a $12 million budget. Global box office returned just $8.8 million. The following year, Obsessed earned $73 million on a $20 million budget, but critics gave it a 19% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Beyoncé stopped appearing in other people's films entirely after that. The economics of starring in someone else's project could not compete with owning her own. And that observation brings us to the 3rd layer, the part of this story that no competitor video about Beyoncé has covered, because the numbers only became available in late 2025. In February 2024, Beyoncé launched Cécred, a prestige haircare brand. Unlike every previous venture, Cécred had no licensing partner, no joint venture co-owner, no outside investors of any kind. Essence Magazine and Yahoo Finance both confirmed that Beyoncé self-funded the entire operation, rejecting multiple investment pitches over a 6-year development period. The product line launched with a clarifying shampoo at $38, a moisturizing deep conditioner at $38, a fermented rice and rose protein ritual at $52, and a nourishing hair oil at $44. Every product carried a patent-pending bioactive keratin ferment technology that Beyoncé's team developed in a proprietary in-house lab. The results broke every pattern we had been tracking. By August 2025, the Restoring Hair and Edge Drops serum was selling 1 unit every 16 seconds. Cécred reported 2 million paying customers within its first 6 months. In April 2025, Ulta Beauty launched Cécred across 1,400 stores in what the retailer called the biggest exclusive haircare partnership in its history. They trained 7,000 stylists, They built a permanent Cécred services menu inside their salons. Within weeks of the retail launch, the brand had doubled its weekly sales projections. Her Sir Davis whiskey, a founding partner deal with LVMH launched in 2024, follows the same ownership-first model rather than traditional licensing arrangements. And here is where we need to stop building the case and ask a different kind of question. Because if we are watching this pattern closely, we are not just watching one celebrity's business track record. We are watching an entire industry model collapse and get quietly replaced by something else. The celebrity licensing playbook has dominated consumer goods for 2 decades. A famous name signs a deal. A corporation handles manufacturing, distribution, and marketing. The celebrity shows up for photo shoots and launch events. Revenue gets split. If the brand succeeds, the corporation keeps most of the equity. If it fails, the celebrity walks away with guaranteed payments, and the corporation absorbs the loss. That is exactly what happened between Adidas and Beyoncé. It is exactly what happened between Coty and Kylie Jenner, where we traced a similar gap between claimed revenue and SEC filings in a previous video. It is what happened between LVMH and Rihanna's Fenty fashion line, where $36 million disappeared, and the chief executive officer left after 14 months. The model itself is the problem, and the evidence for that is not in any one deal. It is in the pattern across all of them. Cécred broke the pattern because it broke the model. No licensing partner meant no guaranteed payments, creating misaligned incentives. No outside investors meant no pressure to scale before the product was ready. 6 years of development meant the science was finished before a single unit shipped. And 100% ownership meant that every dollar of revenue flowed to the same person who controlled the product quality. Unlike traditional label deals where Columbia Records handles distribution, Beyoncé retained master ownership through Parkwood Entertainment, applying the same ownership principles to both music and business ventures. Rihanna launched Fenty Hair in June 2024, 4 months after Cécred. Creator IQ measured Fenty Hair's launch at $24.6 million in earned media value versus $13.9 million for Cécred. Fenty Hair won the social media war, but Cécred won the retail war. 1,400 Ulta doors with a salon takeover versus Fenty Hair operating inside Sephora's existing Fenty footprint. The product strategies were also fundamentally different. Fenty Hair sells styling products. Cécred sells repair and treatment products. But the ownership structures are what really separate them. Fenty Hair lives inside the LVMH ecosystem. Cécred lives inside Parkwood. That brings us to the final layer, the actual math behind the billion. When Forbes declared Beyoncé a billionaire in December 2025, at $1.1 billion, they were not valuing a diversified business empire. Roughly 75 to 80% of that figure came from 2 things: her music catalog, which she has owned through Parkwood Entertainment since 2011, and which Forbes values at approximately $300 million, and her self-promoted stadium tours. Live Nation confirmed the Renaissance World Tour grossed between $579 million and $600 million across 56 shows in 2023. Live Nation also confirmed the Cowboy Carter Tour grossed $407.6 million across 32 shows in 2025, averaging $12.7 million per night, the highest per-show average of any tour that year. Beyoncé became a billionaire the same way she always made money: by performing, not by building brands. Taylor Swift reached billionaire status almost entirely through music and touring, with no major outside business ventures. Rihanna reached it almost entirely through Fenty Beauty. while essentially retiring from music since 2016. Beyoncé is the only one of the three who needed both, and even then the billion-dollar line only came after 2 consecutive tours that grossed nearly $1 billion combined, plus a haircare brand that succeeded precisely because it rejected the partnership model that had failed her 4 times before. Adidas projected $250 million. They got $40 million. They called it a partnership of a lifetime. The lifetime lasted 3 years, and the woman who left them with a $200 million revenue hole went home, funded her own lab, spent 6 years on a keratin formula, and sold 1 unit every 16 seconds, without giving a single outside investor a seat at the table. That is where the Adidas audit trail ends. Not with a scandal, not with a betrayal, with a woman who finally stopped signing deals and started owning them.